Hi guys, I have no idea what just happened. I just did an amazing 15-20 minute video talking about God, giving a testimony. Even my daughter's standing behind me back there swaying creepy like a ghost was in it. But I don't know, maybe it was filled too much with the Holy Spirit. I don't know. But I guess here's my chance to do it again. I want to choose this video because I've watched a couple of testimonies of ex-nun. Well, I watched a testimony of an ex-nun and a testimony of a little girl, and it made me realize, like, as kind-hearted as a person as I feel like I am, and as close to God as I feel like I am, there's a lot of room for improvement for us to become the perfect people that Jesus spoke of. And I feel like whether you believe in God or not, you cannot deny the truth in the words that Jesus spoke, or what it was said for him to speak. And it is one basic law, one basic rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. You don't want to be lied to? Don't lie. You don't want anyone to steal from you? Don't steal from them. You don't want to feel pain, don't hurt. That's what you mother suckers don't understand. Pain is pain. Like, there's a lot of people who hate on my video about Messy Maya when I was actually nice compared to what I was really feeling about it. Because pain is pain. Talking about somebody, putting somebody down, hurting their feelings, that's pain. Then when someone retaliates for whatever reason and kills you, that's also pain. Neither one of them were right. But you can't say one is worse than the other. Because in the eyes of the Lord, sin is sin. Dirt is dirt. Your one speck of dirt is equivalent to my shirt ran through the mud. It's still going to have to be put in the washing machine. And in order for us to enter into heaven, we need to be clean 100%. And the only way to become 100% clean is through the blood of Christ. His blood is like bleach. Whatever. But anyway, Wawa, there she go again. Yes, honey. Yes. While watching those videos, I realized it's like there's and I am aware of it. I am aware that there's so much horrible things going on in the world, to where I pray for God to just come and end this stuff now. Ever since I was a little girl, I couldn't pray for one person without praying for everything, every animal, every galaxy, little kid. I pray for the chairs. God bless the chairs, or whatever. But every now and again, I get caught up in my own personal issues, which aren't even as serious. The biggest problem I've been dealing with for the past couple of days is that my previous place of residence, the manager has kept 297 of my dollars, which isn't a lot. But with all that I went through living there, it flooded 3 times, the crappy construction, the crappy repairmen, the mold, the mildew, my kids constantly being sick from it and all of that. And it's like, you want to charge me this? Talking about the whole place needed to be painted because of fingerprints? I know she's lying. I know she's being unfair. And that's the reason why I wanted to fight it. But then it's like, you know what? If I give myself to God, I give my life over to Jesus Christ, it's not my fight. And he's blessed me way more than that. And whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And at the end, she's going to answer to God. It's not him. It's not her getting away with it. Because a lot of people feel like, oh, you let them get away. You don't get away with anything. Just know that. Just know that. And I also wanted to do this video to get a little personal. Here's my outlet to the world. I don't really do much. I don't really associate with too many people. And this is my legacy, which is the only reason why I have not deleted my channel. And I haven't given much of my legacy. I mean, I spoke a little bit on, being raped, but I really didn't speak on it to where people were confused. Like, wait a minute, I guess it's that pridefulness in me. It's like, I don't need anybody. I'm fine. I can do it. I'm this, I'm that. And at the end of the day, because I have had God, I am fine. But we all need or long for some type of companionship, which is why God created Eve for Adam. But anyway. But anyway. Oh, I cannot believe I just lost my thought. 5 minutes into the video. Um, I don't know what I was going to say. Let me just talk. There are a lot of things that are okay. Well, here's something. There's a lot of debate on all of these religious videos on whether or not God is real. Now, I feel like this. If you do not believe that God is real, why are you watching religious videos? Why are you arguing or trying to argue with people who believe? God should not be in your mind. God should not be a factor in your thoughts. You believe God is real. You just want him to prove himself to you. But my question is, why would he prove himself to someone who's not on his team? Like, that's a waste of time. Once you accept God and you truly accept him, oh, you'll start to see stuff left and right. Trust me. And I have a small testimony, you know, not that serious, but I didn't grow up in church. My grandmother would actually deprogram TBN from the television station. She said if God were to stand in front of her, she would punch him in the face. I was introduced to God, I think, when I was 6 or 7 years old. My mother was in a Christian rehabilitation center for drugs and alcohol, and the children would go to Bible study. We would get prizes for memorizing Bible scriptures. I am the queen at memorizing. Last minute tests, please. But anyway, so I would always memorize the scriptures, and that kind of opened the door to my relationship with God. Plus, I've always been a big sensitive crybaby, don't want to kill bugs. Even to this day, if there's some type of weird bug in the house, I have to kill it because I have children, but I explain it to them like, look, I'm sorry, dude, but I don't know what you are. And then look, there's a difference between killing and murder. And the Bible says, thou shalt not murder. It has been translated many times. Murder is senseless killing for no reason. I'm killing these bugs to protect my kids, okay? But anyway, so that introduced, me to God in prayer. And I was doing the now lay me down to sleep prayer, which I think somebody told me that was a Catholic or a Baptist prayer. I don't know. But anyway, I was definitely afraid of everything because my mother is cruel and would tell me if I got out the bed, a man would come through the window and kill me. And she would take me to see horror movies. So that didn't help when they started teaching us about demons. But I digress. And I think I was about 8 years old when I decided I wanted to be baptized. Was not spiritual at all. No. But anyway, me and God, we were there. We were there with each other. Even though it seemed like everyone in the household was against me. From that moment on, everyone was against me. In every household I've lived in, I've stood alone. But let's get back to the nitty-gritty part of the story. When I was 18 years old, I was working at Champs and I became pregnant with my first child. I immediately wrote out a 2-year plan. I took full responsibility. I did not want to bring a child in my grandparents' home, so I didn't plan on telling them I was pregnant. I was like, I calculated how much I was making, how much I was getting from financial aid, what a place I can afford, and all of that. This was a Sunday. Went to work Monday. Scheduled a doctor's appointment. Went to the doctor on Tuesday. He took me off of work. It turns out I ended up having fibroid tumors and all type of other issues and whatever, or he felt like I could have lost my baby, but it did not slow down the production process. But anyway, so I was forced to tell my grandparents I was pregnant. I went and tried to apply for county or welfare, which I could not because I was only 18 and I had graduated high school a year early. Wow, so if I didn't graduate, I could get it. But anyway, they told me I was in my 3rd trimester, I could. So I'm feeling like, okay, well, by then I'll have enough money to get my own place. Without going into too much detail, my grandfather was abusive towards me, regardless to what those in my family may have or have not heard. And one day, he went on his little rage, and I locked myself in the bathroom. I told myself if he hit me and I lost my baby, I would kill everybody in the house. So the very next day, a friend of mine and his mother picked me up and took me to my grandmother's sister's house, my great aunt. Now, the deal there was for me to stay there and pay rent once my welfare kicked in October. But I was paying her rent from the moment I got there to help her out. She fed her dogs actual meat, buying her dog's meat, doing whatever I could, being pregnant. And it seemed like the closer I got with God, the meaner she was to me. Like, I'm going to school, and eventually I got a job, and it was like 2 miles from the bus stop. Want to try to charge me $15 to drop me up at the bus stop, just little ridiculous stuff. And then my daughter's grandmother was also trying to milk me for money, and I was aware of what was going on. I didn't care. I was just trying to get myself on my feet. But she would always say, stop living there, paying that rent, when you could stay with me and help me out. And I'm like, well, what about your kids? What about my daughter's father? Which, what happened with him was, when I told him I was pregnant, I asked him what we were going to do. He said he didn't know. I poured out my 2-year plan. He said I was a woman. He wasn't listening to me. Needless to say how that ended. I'm in my first house and he's still homeless. But no shade, no shade. But anyway, so my mind just wasn't there in college. And with my health issues, I was able to turn in doctor's excuses to take a medical leave, which should have excused financial aid that I ended up having to pay back. Another story. So, like I said, I had got another job, which I told her I was pregnant. I told her I was pregnant. It's like when I'm pregnant, I don't look pregnant. My hips just get wide. But anyway, so then she just wanted to cut my hours. Like, she was trying to make me quit. But anyways, once I dropped out of college, I wasn't getting all that financial aid. I had originally prayed to God and asked him to let me stay in my great aunt's house for 3 months until I had enough, what I thought would be enough money to move out. So Thanksgiving comes. Me and my aunt had briefly discussed, me and my great aunt had briefly discussed what we were going to do, but we didn't make any definite plans. So I went on ahead to my grandparents' house for Thanksgiving, and I spent the night. God came to kind of sent me a little dream, which I get them quite often. They're very simple. And the dream said, it's time to go. I was like, okay, where am I going? I'm like, okay, it's time for me to leave my aunt's house. I go and I'm getting ready to let her know that I'm leaving, and she's pissed that I spent Thanksgiving at my grandparents' house. Like, so she raised my rent. It was going to raise it again once my baby was born. I was like, oh, well, I'm leaving. And she goes on a big rant. People don't never want to pay. And this is because other family members have lived with her and didn't pay her anything. But I did. I paid her. First of all, I was supposed to be paying her until October, but I was paying her from day one. Second of all, I paid her $60 over the total amount I was supposed to pay for those course of 3 months. But anyway, so I go to my daughter's grandmother, like, well, can I stay with you if that offer's still available? Oh, I'm going to have to see what my kids think. Oh, you got messed up my Section 8 because I no longer had any money. So I'm on the bus. I'm like, okay, God, where am I going? I ended up going to this homeless shelter, and they were way nicer homeless shelter that I would have been treated better. All types of stuff than this one. But anyway, I'm there. Ended up leaving there with all type of stomach infection, vision messed up, all type of anyway. So one day I'm sitting there, this lady comes in. She looks familiar to me. We started talking, and we both realized we used to see each other on the bus when I was working at the mall. But she was always looking so mean. She said she did it to keep people from talking to her. I tell her my situation. She invites me to Bible study. It's a Wednesday. Something tells me to go, so I'll go. Now, also, take note that all I did in that shelter was read the Bible. There was really no TV. I had my CD player. I bought CDs. And at the shelter, they take your EBT card and your checks and all of that, and they hold them for you for the course of 3 months to help it grow. They ain't take none of my stuff. They're supposed to provide you with everything. I would buy my own stuff. But anyway, then she invites me to go to church with her and her roommate on Sunday. Something tells me to go, so I go. Afterwards, they buy me some Jack in the Box. Now, we're not allowed to take outside food into the shelter, so they take me to their apartment, and they explain to me how it's a low-income apartment, 30% of your income, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, that's great for me, So I'm like, I'm going to apply. Wednesday comes back, and they call me for Bible study. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go. But something told me not to go. Like this burning in my chest. So I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to go. And they did something that I felt was very messy. They told the pastor, and the pastor called me like, oh, what, you don't like us? You don't like us? And it wasn't even like that. And just recently, I found out he may have been sleeping with some of the girls. And honestly, I do believe it because what I felt while I was there, I didn't feel the holy presence. But anyway, A couple of days before this, a lady had came into the shelter. Now, this wasn't a bummy, dirty, homeless type of people on drug shelter. You had to be drug tested, take showers daily, and blah blah blah. So this lady comes into the shelter very dirty, and I'm like, they'll give you clothes and stuff, right? And she looks at me like I'm retarded, and whatever. Not that race matters, but she was a white lady. The lady who invited me to go to church and Bible study, she was some type of Asian, I think Filipino, and her roommate was black. But anyway, then another day I see this lady. She's all nice and clean. I was like, see, baby steps. And her attitude, I was like, okay, I'm not never talking to her ever again. So this Wednesday that I do not go to Bible study with the Miss Filipino lady and the Miss Black lady, the Miss White lady comes up to me and gives me a hug. I'm like, wait, what? If she whispers in my ear, I'll never see her again. Now, I let her, we sat outside and she told me how she was an alien from another planet that had powers, and that's why she wasn't trying to get close to me so she wouldn't hurt me and all this other stuff. And I didn't judge her. I asked her if I could pray for her, and I listened to her because sometimes that's all people need is someone to listen to. Well, I ended up getting really, really sick, vision messed up. My eyes broke, like literally click, click. So I see double vision, all type of craziness from in that shelter. I went back to my grandparents' house until my apartment was available. And when I first went into that apartment, it was me and my daughter. She was 5 months. We had nothing. We were sleeping on the floor. Had a bag, a big garbage bag, blanket stuff. That was the happiest time of my life. But I was Cinderella. And when Cinderella first leaves the dungeon, she doesn't expect to fall into a ditch. So me being Miss Sweet and nice, I'm 19, I got my own place, wanting to help and do for everybody and make friends, and a lot of things happen. But it's like no matter what has happened, and no matter how sad and suicidal and wanting to give up, I've looked onto God, and He has made the situation better. Things have to get worse before they get better because you have to prove to God that you're worth it. See, a lot of you people want God to prove to you. No, you have to prove to Him. And it's a constant thing. And it's like, none of this is important. This video you're watching, the YouTube credit, your job, none of this is important at the end of the day. None of it. None of it. And you sitting here calling someone a name, cussing them out because you're hurting, all you're doing is passing on hurt. The same hurt that was passed on to you. And at some point, it needs to stop. And people are not understanding why, God saves some people but not others. It's in His plan. We're His children. He don't have to explain Himself to us. Just like I don't have to explain myself to this baby. There are certain things I don't want her to do for her own good. And there are certain things God does not want her to do for our own good. And that is sin. And we all sin. I don't think there'll ever be a time where we can be completely free of sin, period. But I do believe there can be a time when we begin to treat one another better. Where we can have more patience. And it starts with me. You, one person. You can't keep sitting back waiting for the next person to do something. Like my grandmother told me when she was a kid, her and her brothers and sisters and whoever used to talk about how in the year 2000 it was going to be so futuristic with flying cars and this and that, and how they're so disappointed. My question is, the bed will be more comfortable. My question to her is, what have you done to contribute to that? You sitting back waiting for someone else to do it, but you haven't done anything at all to contribute to it, and you're mad because no one else has either. It don't work like that. It does not. It starts with loving God. Then it starts with loving yourself. Life is like a chessboard. It is. Everything is set up for a specific purpose, and some pawns have to be sacrificed. And that's just it. I mean, at the end of the day, we just have to realize there's some mysteries in life that we'll never understand. And even if we didn't understand, is that going to make our life better? Is that going to make the next person's life better? No. But being kind and loving and caring and allowing God to use us in a positive way, there might not be so many horrible things going on in the world. There might not be all of these horrible diseases that these children have and these people are dying from and these people that are being abused in cults and in churches. And I feel like no one can ever truly be happy when the whole world is suffering. And it starts with us. So I make my vow today to actually be a Christian. Not the religious, not tradition, but to actually do what Christ talked about doing. Treating people how you want to be treated. In spite of how they treat you. Now, I know this video is a little choppy and all over the place, but you get the message, by believing and sticking through, you will get what you work for. Although I expected to get my apartment from working, eventually the Champs I worked at went out of business. And it's like, okay, I would have been out of a home if I had been in a regular rent property. And I was in that long-term apartment for 6 years. And how I ended up where I am today, it was God in another way setting pieces up for me. Because I'm not, he literally stripped me naked to where I have no choice but to depend on him. Okay, well, what do you want me to do now, God? And yeah, I fight it because of my independence and the way that I grew up and having to take care of my brothers and protecting them. My trust issues go deeper than just trusting humans. And sometimes he has to strip you down naked from clothing and rip your damn skin off to get you to trust in him because he knows what he's doing. We don't even know what we're doing. And it's undeniable. We all have spiritual senses where you feel weird spirits or things, you feel goosebumps. Oh, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. So how can you not believe in God, spirits, and demons when you have all these signs all around you? The miracle of birth in itself. Well, I'm gonna leave this alone because some of y'all know I can talk forever. Y'all know I look a hot mess, my elf hat. Because I'm a God's helper, not Santa, but God. Hopefully this video doesn't mysteriously get erased and I can upload it. Until next time, YouTubers. I love you. I do. I really do. And I don't want to say anything bad happen to any of you, regardless of anything negative you've ever said to me or anyone else. We all just need to seek God. And until you seek God, you will never truly be happy. All of the riches in the world. Why do you think all these famous rich people are on so many drugs? Because they're happy? No. Can I see your pretty sleepy face?